Tommy Robinson's freedom and right to free speech is continuing to be threatened, even after he gets out of jail, which is going to be soon. Listen, we thought that once he got out, it was all going to be okay, but this latest news that I'm going to tell you guys in today's episode is going to prove that, yeah, he is still not safe. And we're going to be asking the question of what can be done, all that kind of stuff. We're going to be talking about some other things as well. Welcome back to Playing in Politics. My name's Anna. If you're new to this channel, this is my politics and makeup podcast where I talk about politics and I do my makeup at the same time. It's like Bailey Sarian, but without the murder. So yeah, also, congratulations and all good luck to Canada. As of Monday's election, you've got Mark Carney. You guys decided. Just don't be surprised when Trump comes knocking, trying to make Canada the 51st state. What are you guys' thoughts about that as well in the comments? I really want to know, because that's an interesting conversation and an interesting debate to have. But yeah, it has been a week. It has been a week. I was originally struggling as to what I was going to talk about, but then I was like, then all this stuff kind of came out, and I was like, let's talk about Tommy. And also it brings in the views whenever I talk about Tommy. So it's a good old time, and it's a discussion that we like to keep very much alive on this channel, and is very, very, very important. The makeup side of things, by the way, if you're ever curious as to what I'm using, I always link what I'm using in the description. So yeah, today's makeup, I'm not gonna go too heavy today. It's currently the hottest day of the year where I live up north. So as you can see, I am not naked. I am wearing a top. It kind of looks a little bit precarious here, doesn't it? But I swear I am wearing a top. It's just because it's a cheap top. But yeah, today's makeup's basically just going to be not as maybe intense and smoky as some of my last episodes. It's going to be sort of a bit more laid back, natural, if you can call it that, on my channel, because I don't know, I don't really like doing natural makeup. There's going to be some kind of colour in here, but yeah. So let's talk about the updates we have in regards to Tommy Robinson. Now obviously, and I think I mentioned this either on a short or a previous podcast episode about the court case, obviously he was trying to appeal the whole isolation thing, and his legal team were working really hard, and he had some financial backing off Elon Musk as well. As we all know at this point, that he lost that because they said that he was getting time out of his cell, so that meant that he didn't really qualify for, you know, being a prisoner and all this stuff. Like, it wasn't really qualified as like inhumane treatment, which was crazy because obviously we've been keeping up with this, and it was an absolutely pathetic excuse and pathetic results to a case that is obviously the talk of politics at the moment. What is going on with my fringe? Oh my god. What have I done here? Give me 1 second, guys. Jesus. There we go. Right, let's hope I don't mess that up anymore. I washed my hair yesterday, and I think my fringe needs a bit of a trim because it's literally going all over the place. Like, I don't know what the heck it's doing. Yeah, it has a mind of its own at the moment. So just ignore me if I'm having to adjust my fringe every 5 seconds. It is something that I do quite a lot. We're just gonna leave it. Alright. But yeah, so obviously that didn't turn out as we wanted it to, but he is coming out soon, so, and we're gonna talk about that a little bit later. But one of the latest visits that he's had is from a Polish MP. I cannot remember the name of the guy. I'm gonna have to put him up on the screen. I do apologise, and plus I probably wouldn't be able to pronounce it if I did remember, because I'm not very good at that kind of thing. But I will put him on the screen. But yeah, he is, well, apparently he's an advocate for free speech. I'd never heard of the guy personally, but I was watching Dan Grant's report over on British Stand about this, and he was saying like, yeah, he's been really good when it comes to free speech and fighting for free speech. We all know that the Polish people and Poland in general is quite robust when it comes to migration and controlling migration, i.e. they're not a fan of migration. They don't really let people in the country, which is like, well, they don't tend to have a lot of people dying through cars being rammed through crowds, do they? So, you know, it's clearly working for them. But yeah, so this Polish MP basically went to visit Tommy, and he did this video after it, where he stood outside and he's basically saying like, yeah, this man is really, really brave, and he's a political prisoner. Like, he literally said like, yeah, this is definitely a political prisoner situation, which is of course what we've all been saying, and because it's true, that's clearly what this is. You know, at the end of the day, you know, we have to remind ourselves this is all over a documentary that Tommy made, basically exposing the corruption and the truth that goes on in the UK, especially with grooming gangs and just the dangers of illegal migrant men especially coming over here and grooming young girls, is basically what that's been his whole point of what he does in his campaigning and everything. So yeah, that is what this has all been about, because he hasn't taken that documentary down. The establishment has been absolutely on his back for years, and obviously has recently kind of succeeded by whacking him in Woodhill prison in isolation, and then potentially he's going to go back in prison when he gets out. We're going to talk about this a bit later, but yeah, so this Polish MP was basically confirming what we've all been saying, and saying like, yeah, this is a political prisoner, and you know, he's incredibly brave and he's still got that fight going, which is always good to hear. Obviously we've had some quite concerning updates regarding Tommy over the past couple of weeks in terms of his health, and that's all what a lot of the court case was based around, was trying to say like, you know, his health is declining, and his mental health and physical health. Obviously he's got ADHD, which is obviously not helping his situation in prison. Why am I doing my eyeshadow after I've not just done my eye primer, then I do my eyebrows? Don't go straight in with the eyeshadow, Anna, you absolute idiot. My brain's a bit all over the place today, I will apologise guys. It's the first day my parents have gone away on holiday this morning, and they're going to be away for a week, and the thing is, my brain is now thrown out of routine entirely, so I don't really know if I'm coming or going today, so that's probably why I'm all over the place. What was I saying? So yeah, again, this is all over a documentary, and yeah, this is what we've all been saying about, you know, he's a political prisoner, put in isolation, and yeah, this Polish MP was basically confirming what we've all been saying, which is obviously great that another person in authority has actually come out and said this as well. And yeah, with a lot of the stuff when it comes to free speech and especially migration, Poland is really one to look up to, because they're famously known for not being very pro-migration, which has obviously saved them a lot of aggro, especially recently when we're seeing a lot of other European countries like Sweden, for instance, with the shooting that happened, and I'm going to talk about that later as well. But yeah, they seem to be one that have avoided a lot of attacks and things, because obviously they're not fond of letting people into this country, which is what we should all be doing, but obviously we're not, and we know that we're not, and this is what's causing a lot of the problems. And this is why Tommy has been so passionate over the years about trying to promote this message of, yeah, we shouldn't be letting these people into the country. What are we doing? Do we not see what this is doing? So yeah, it was great to hear somebody else actually say that, and actually be able to go visit him as well. And yeah, so that was kind of the first update, which was the good news, really. But then things do go downhill a little bit. Of course they do, because it's Tommy, and it's never, you know, it's never necessarily going to be good news, at least not at the moment. So his team obviously has been quite good at updating on Twitter when things come out and any updates for his supporters. And recently they have basically been advised that when he gets out, because again, this is all based on a documentary that they wanted him to take down, and he hasn't taken down, and because he hasn't taken it down, that's why he's ended up in the situation that he has, which he shouldn't have done, and we've talked about that before. But when he gets out, because he still hasn't taken it down and still won't take it down, they could potentially whack him in prison again for up to 2 years on fresh contempt charges, is basically what the latest news is, all because of Silenced, the documentary, because he hasn't taken it down. That's what they've been told could happen, is that yeah, he could go down for another 2 years under fresh contempt charges, which, if his current time in prison is anything to go by, that could mean another 2 years in isolation. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. When I first heard this, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, this is that is absolutely insane. And you know, it seems to, you know, just when you think it can't get any worse, they somehow come up with another method, another idea to make it worse. It is insane. And yeah, so this is kind of the point really with all this, is that yeah, the fight is definitely not over, and you know, even when he gets out, we've really got to be protecting Tommy and, you know, his right to free speech and our own rights to free speech and all this stuff that we talk about quite regularly on this channel. But yeah, that really just, it shocked me in a way that it shouldn't really shock me, which is a sad thing to say because of the state of the justice system. We know how much they despise Tommy, which has been shown with his time in prison at the moment. But, you know, to then still be going after him because they really don't want this truth out into the world. And this is the thing, the truth is already out. The truth is already out. That documentary has got something like 116 million views or something, I think, is what Dan Grant said. But it's insane. It is absolutely insane. You know, there are more and more people waking up to the treatment that Tommy Robinson's going through in prison at the moment, and how it's exposing the establishment for, yeah, making him a political prisoner and putting him in isolation. And not only that, and I don't know if we've talked about this before, but, you know, there were people who were released early in order to make room for Tommies who have total isolation, and these were like actually dangerous criminals. Don't forget, this is Wood Hill Prison, which is a top security prison, right? This is what has caused a lot of uproar in the beginning, was the fact that he's in there for a civil offence and they put him in a top security prison, which he shouldn't be in, because it's like, you know, he's a civil offender. It's not like he's in there for murder or rape or assault or anything, like, which a lot of the other people who were released early would have been in there for, because and a lot of the reason why he's in isolation as well was for his protection, because there were a lot of Islamic gang members and, you know, rapists and things in there that clearly don't like him because he's the one who's been exposing them all. So, you know, yes, it was for his protection, but he shouldn't have been in there in the first place. That was just an excuse to put him in isolation. And, you know, we've talked about this before. It just continues to get even more crazy as the days and weeks go on. And yeah, this thing with the fact that he could like still remain in prison, they could try and get him again like literally as soon as he gets out, is insane. It's absolutely insanity. So I want to know all of your thoughts on these current updates when it comes to Tommy Robinson. Like, did you know about any of this? This is the first time you're hearing this, because honestly, it shocked me to my very core. When I first heard this, I was like, you've got to be joking. Like, they can't sink any lower, but they clearly can, because yeah, they will never stop trying to silence him and kill him. Like that. Like, let's be honest. You know, his mental health has gone downhill so much in prison. That was a lot of people's worry, was that he was gonna end up doing something stupid because of just the conditions that he's in and the toll that takes on anyone. Like, that would, you know, like we knew the case with Peter Lynch as well. He was in there for a lot less, you know, and obviously ended up dying in prison. But yeah, this whole situation continues to be absolutely insane. And, you know, again, I want to know what you guys think in the comments about all of those updates. But yeah, I just wanted to get that out first, because obviously it's really important that we keep talking about Tommy's situation, even though they try and silence it and try and say that, you know, no, he's in there for his own protection, and, you know, this is all right and legal and all this stuff, which obviously is, as we know, is highly contended, because it's just not right. It's clearly not, and it is quite clear his situation. But yeah, we do have to keep talking about this. So, and I know, but I've said this before when I've talked about Tommy on this channel before, that I will continue to talk about Tommy regardless. Like, it is really important. Like him or not, his treatment in prison and the message he's trying to get out is incredibly important for this country. So yeah, I will continue to bring up this topic and bring up this debate and bring up his situation on this channel, and a lot of the independent media channels on here. And yeah, it is incredibly important, because this whole situation has exposed the establishment in such a way that it is like so blatantly corrupted and trying to cover up and protect a certain group of people. Yeah, it's just insane. Just gonna do like a moment of silence while I finish my eyeliner, because this can be quite tricky. You know what, that's pretty cool. That's the first time I've used this Made by Mitchell eyeliner on a lighter base. I usually don't use it on like a lot darker kind of more smoky eyeshadow, but yeah, doing it just with the glittery base, and obviously because I put like the drip on my lids as well, so that's just all Made by Mitchell stuff. Very good brand. But yeah, that's what this is looking like at the moment. So moving on to the next topic of discussion. We were talking about Poland and how all these attacks and everything are moving to Europe, although they're missing out Poland, because Poland is in control of their migration. Sweden seems to be one that is getting an awful lot of attacks recently, including this one the other day in, what's the name of the place? Hang on. It's Uppsala? Uppsala? I don't know how to say it, I'm not Swedish. That place though. And it was in a hair salon apparently, and yeah, there was just this mass shooting. There's apparently 3 killed at the moment. Obviously with these things, you know, you can't exactly predict or say the exact number of deaths until all the injured people are like, you know, potentially out of hospital or, you know, not. But yeah, it was just crazy. Apparently it was on like the eve of this sort of spring festival thing they have, which attracts a lot of crowds for obvious reasons. But eyewitnesses, like there was an eyewitness that basically said like, oh yeah, like we're just sort of used to it. Like this guy who was the suspect worked at like a record place apparently, like nearby, like near the salon where this happened, and he was like, yeah, we're just kind of getting used to it, but like it's obviously still bad. Which, when I heard that, I was like, starting to sound like the UK, isn't it? Because that's something we do tend to say when all these things happen, is like, because they are happening so much in this country. And that's the one thing we say is like, you know, well, at this point, nothing really surprises us, you know, it's just another day in the UK where more people are dying, more attacks are dying, more stabbings, more, you know, things. And in Europe, a lot of the time, it has been cars being rammed through crowds. That tends to be the trending one at the moment, and there was another one the other day. I think I might have reported on that in a short, but there was another one of those incidents where a car was rammed through a crowd. And yeah, as I say, that does tend to be the favoured method of these attacks recently, which is just, it's disgusting, and it's obviously really horrifying, and the footage that we're getting from these attacks as well is really graphic. But yeah, it is just insane. But yeah, the fact this Swedish eyewitness was like, yeah, we're getting used to it, but obviously it's still terrible, and you know, we think of the families and everything, and it's like, yeah, this shouldn't be something that we are getting used to. Like, come on now, like people dying in horrific ways, in really like spontaneous attacks, is just absolutely crazy. And the fact this is becoming like a norm in our society, not just in the UK but also like globally in Europe as well, is just insane. It is absolutely insane. But as I was saying, you know, before, places like Sweden and places like Switzerland as well, not Sweden, Poland, places like Poland and Switzerland even, you know, you don't hear about these kind of things happening in those countries because they have their immigration under control. It's not something that they need to necessarily control in the same way. It's insane, and it's not that difficult. Like, we should have been taking action on this ages ago, but the problem is we're so scared of certain groups. I mean, we're not, if you're watching this channel, well, like, the authorities are so scared of certain groups and what they could potentially do, I suppose. It's insane. They're so obsessed with protecting these people when they're literally criminals. And, you know, the longer we leave this, the worse it's gonna get. And, you know, 10-15 years ago when people were, you know, talking about, like, invasions and people taking over, and nobody listened, like, people like Tommy Robinson who were saying this kind of thing. And now we're in this situation, which it's just got worse and worse and worse. I mean, the grooming gangs and things have been happening for like 20 years at this point, maybe a bit more, but you know, it is just getting worse and worse and worse, to the point where certain towns are just known, especially like up north. I mean, it's kind of a joke that places beginning with a B tend to be the places where these things are happening. But yeah, again, it should not be the case. This should just not be something that is the norm. Like, again, that Swedish bystander was like, oh yeah, we're used to this at this point. And there was another attack that I wrote down in my notes that also happened in Sweden, where a grenade was just thrown through somebody's window, which again is just, it's insane. All these kind of crazy attacks that you're just thinking, how on earth are people getting access to these things, first of all, but also just, who are these people who are just thinking to themselves, yeah, this is a random Tuesday, I'm just gonna like throw a grenade through someone's window. I mean, they probably have like a grudge against somebody. Like, there's probably some sort of reason, whether it's like personal or not personal, or part of some sort of ideology or terrorist thing. I don't know, this is all alleged, but you know, it is absolutely insane that this is, again, just a norm at this point. And not only that, you know, these things are happening in broad daylight. highlight, which is, again, so crazy. Like, there's no sort of, I don't want to say like slickness to any of this. Like, it's literally just, it's a random day, let me just go do this to some innocent people. Like, it's insane. It is absolutely insane. And unfortunately, the more we support and allow certain ideologies that, you know, that will condone this kind of thing. And even though we've got like two sides of this, you never hear the so-called like stable side speaking out about any of this. So it's just, it's a very conflicting situation. It's crazy. Oh, the one where the car ran through the crowd recently the other day, that was in the Philippines, I think. Yes, it was. No, it wasn't. It was Canada. It was Canada. The reason I say it was the Philippines was it was like a Filipino festival, and the guy that was driving the car was Filipino, and there's a terrorist organization in the Philippines apparently, like in the southern part of it. So that was the context of that. Yeah, I think I did actually make a short about that, so I think I might have just been repeating myself there, but if you watch the short, you know, that's probably a good point to say as well. Apart from my weekly episodes of the podcast, I also do kind of more breaking news shorts when things come out, so make sure to subscribe and turn all the notification bells on and everything like that, because I do a mixture of the podcast and a little bit of news reporting as well. Although I'm not like strictly a news channel, you know, we do try and sort of keep things a little bit more discussion and the sort of light-hearted ish where we can, you know. It depends what we're talking about, you know. I always like to say it's like Belly Sam without the murder, but because there's so much murder and attacks happening, you know, sometimes I can't necessarily say that. You know, I said that at the beginning of today's episode. Technically that wasn't really valid, you know. But yeah, I want to know what all of your thoughts are on everything we've talked about in today's episode in the comments, because it has been crazy. And again, it's just been another crazy week in the world. Let me know what you think about Tommy Robinson and all that situation, because yeah, the fact that they could literally still get him like the moment he gets out of prison is like absolutely insane to me. And I mean, and it should be insane. This again, going back to that point I was saying about, you know, we shouldn't be getting used to all this ridiculous stuff happening. You know, this is a pure, like, today's episode has been like a really good example of that, with all this stuff that's been happening. It's just like, yeah, this should not be the norm. This should not be something that we could just like don't really bat an eyelid at and just go, well, it's another day. Like, no, this should be something that still shocks us, that still has us talking, that still has us going, what on earth is going on with the world? Like, what's going on with the UK? What's going on with Europe? We need to sort something out ASAP, because in the reality of the situation is we do have very, very dangerous ideologies coming into this country, and you know, there are people who will try and plead and basically be like, yeah, it's not all of them though, like all these, you know, these people, you know, they're not all like that, they're not all these extremist people. But it's just like, well, then where are the people who are meant to be on the sort of safe side of it? Where are they speaking up when all this stuff happens? Like, I really, really, really want to know what is going on here. And the fact that we have advocates for some of this stuff and some of the things to do with their ideology, like literally in our parliament, we have MPs who will stand up in parliament defending cousin and child marriage, is crazy to me. Will never stop being crazy to me. I know that was a few months ago when that happened, because it was kind of brought up as a topic, and then these MPs were standing up trying to justify it. I think we talked about that. I think we talked about that on the podcast at the time, but then these people will just like stand up and justify it. It's just absolutely insane to me. It is absolutely insane. So I am going to do my lip off camera, and I'm gonna come back with my concluding thoughts. So this is what the makeup ended up looking like. Again, I wanted to go a little bit more, it's so weird looking at myself with like a more toned down makeup look, because this is not what I normally do. But it's like really hot, especially in my room, because I get like direct sunlight. There's a window like right in front of me that's literally right in front of the sun, so I get all the heat in my room. So I didn't want to do anything too heavy. But yeah, this is what it looked like. Nice sort of glowy. I don't know, I probably would have added some black eyeliner somewhere. I've got so used to doing like the waterline that I can't look at myself without it and go, who is she? Even though I only really started doing it like a couple of months ago. But he's also recently fallen back in love with the e.l.f. lip stain. If you guys want like a good lip stain, although I hear that the NYX ones are really good as well, like the lip IVs. I need to try one of them. But yeah, the little e.l.f. ones, the OG little red one is like my favourite lip product ever, especially for the summer. It is so good. So yeah, I've got another one of them recently. This is a new one. I've not had it for a while, so I'm so glad to be having this back, especially as the weather weather gets more sunny and warmer. Hopefully we have a nice summer, please, because last year was absolutely pathetic. Yeah, I really like how this looked. I think maybe a little bit more blush, maybe. Yeah, let's put a little bit more on while I do my concluding thoughts. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Again, let me know what you guys think about everything that we talked about today in the comments, because again, especially when it comes to Tommy Robinson, this is a really important debate. That's made everything so much better. Yeah, it's a really important debate that we are going to still keep having on this channel. Not really debate, but discussion and like updates and stuff. So yeah, let me know all your reactions and thoughts to everything we talked about in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next video. Hope you're doing well, hope the weather is nice where you are, and that you're enjoying hopefully this nice spring that's going to turn into a really nice summer. I will see you guys next week, and make sure to subscribe for any more of my breaking news updates that I do on my YouTube shorts. And yeah, coming back to you next Wednesday. I will see you guys next time. Hope you're having a good day.